Hey guys, how's it going? Solo back with another awful day in the stock market. Look at all this red on the heat map. It is so red. Take a look at big tech. Everything is down 3, 4, 5%. It just got crushed. Nvidia down almost 6%. AMD, my boy, down 3%. The Honey Badger also down almost 4%. I mean, it was a huge sell-off in the market today. Basically, all of the major indices, the Dow, the S&P 500, the small caps, they were all down 3% or so. So just a horrible day in the market. And I think a lot of this is fueled by the fact that we're not going to have a stimulus until after the election. The senators are all gone home. Senate is essentially not in session. There's nobody on site to vote. So it's all much a done deal that there will not be a stimulus until after the election, and looks like investors are not happy about that. I think also this sell-off is partly fueled by the second, or some people are even saying the third wave of the illness that's happening right now. There's some countries in Europe that are planning on shutting down later this week again. So a lot of uncertainty again in the market, but this may present as a good buy the dip opportunity, not for a short-term position, but more for a mid or long-term position. That is why I do hopefully want to sell off my AMD shares as quickly as possible, so I have some free capital available to buy the dip if I choose to. But things are not looking so good right now, at least in the short term for AMD. So let's look at the Robinhood graph here. So we can see just a completely red day across the board. I mean, we opened red and we just sold off. We were opened down 0.2%. Again, within the first hour, we were down 3.6%. We tried to rally like we did yesterday. Then we pretty much were flat, kind of choppy all day long. We ended up closing the day, like I said, over 3% in the red. And we're pretty much flat after hours. Yes, we're a little bit positive, up 0.2%. But gosh, I think the market really just needs some good overall news, because I think AMD's had good news. They had good earnings that they beat. Now, whether you agree with their Xilinx purchase or not is debatable, but I think for their long-term future, a lot of people are liking the Xilinx deal, I think. Actually, Jim Cramer had a segment on the episode of Mad Money praising AMD, and he admits that he was a long-time Intel fan, but he likes what Sube has been doing over at AMD. And, you know, today, I watched the Big Navi GPU reveal live, and the graphs they showed, obviously we'll have to wait for independent testing, but the slides that they showed that their GPUs basically equaled performance of Nvidia's offerings, but they were all priced cheaper, and they claim that they will use less power. So it seems like a win for AMD across the board, as long as those statements hold up and the independent testers kind of back up those claims. But I will admit, I am full team AMD right now. They're crushing it on the CPU game, and I think now they're crushing it on the GPU game. So even if I end up bag holding shares of AMD for a few weeks or months, I'm okay with it, because I think the mid to long-term future of AMD is very bright. So I think it's just a matter of time before I get back up to my cost basis. But until then, I'm going to keep selling my covered calls. So let's take a look at the options chain here. Selling covered calls that I have. So I have 200 shares of AMD. I sold 2 covered calls at the 89 strike last week that expire this Friday. I sold them for $250. I mean, they're basically worth pennies right now. They are worth 3 cents. So one thing I did think about, and I might do this tomorrow morning when the market opens, because I'm assuming this is going to go down to 2 cents or maybe even a penny, is to roll these strikes down for the same date this Friday, just to squeak out a little bit of extra taco money. Because let's say if I bought these covered calls back for, let's just say $3, for example, I pay $3 to close out my positions. I can roll it out for the same expiration, October 30th, but I can roll it down to a different strike. Like let's say I choose a strike of 82.50, for example. Now again, AMD is trading at $76 right now. I don't think AMD is going to rally about $6 in 2 days, because there's just no good news that's on the horizon right now in terms of news catalysts for AMD. The only thing is something that would pump the entire market, but even for AMD to go up, let's just say around 6 or 7% in 2 days is a stretch. So what I could do is I could buy back those covered calls that I have right now for $3 and then sell these again for basically 2 days to expiration for $10. So I would make essentially an extra $8 per contract as long as AMD stays below 8250. Now, the gamble here is that if for whatever reason, let's say AMD just pumps and just goes to the moon the next 2 days, and let's say Friday AMD goes to 84, well, now I have to sell off my shares at $82.50. And right now, my cost basis is pretty much right around here, roughly. It's around $83 because, like I said, I collected $2.50 in premium by selling these covered calls that I have right now. I got assigned my shares at 85. So if I were to collect max profit, my new cost basis would be $82.50. But if I close this out a little early, it's going to be a little bit above that. But I'm thinking it's possible that I could roll this down for a little bit more extra money, a little bit of taco money for this week, and still not get my shares called away, and then just open up some more covered calls again this coming Monday. Let's take a look at the TradingView chart to look at some technical analysis on AMD here. So as we can see, these are all daily candles, had 2 pretty big red days in a row back to back. Definitely broke our uptrend here that we had going for 3 days. And the scary thing, and if you saw my video from last night, I did not want AMD to break 78 and stay below 78. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened today. We closed at around $76. So my fear is the next area of support is $74. If 74 breaks, then I think we could easily go down to like 70, 71, which would just absolutely hurt me because I would definitely be holding bags, and those bags seem to be getting heavier by the day. But like I said, we did dip into the low 70s back in September, and as you can see, over the course of about 2 or 3 trading weeks, we did rally from about 74 back up to almost $90. So I do think if we do end up dipping all the way down to the 70s, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that in the next few weeks or months, we do rally back up into the 80s. So I'm not too concerned about that. Like I said, this is why I like to pick good companies to wheel, because that way I can have confidence that they are going to come back up in price once the market or once that company's shares kind of get back to trading where they want to be trading. But why I'm thinking about selling 8250 covered calls is because 8250 is right about here. And that means compared to where it's trading right now, AMD would have to go through 1-2 areas of resistance and also basically close above the 50-day moving average, which is right now at about $82. So that's why I think it's very unlikely that that's going to happen in 2 trading days, especially because it seems like the market's been selling off and there's no good news that I can foresee happening. And keep in mind, tomorrow is Thursday, which means the weekly unemployment numbers are going to come out again. So if those numbers are bad or worse than expected, that may also just be another catalyst to have another overall red day in the market. So I am looking very closely at rolling down my options, my covered calls, to 8250 for this Friday, just to squeeze out a few bucks. I mean, if I can get $8 extra per contract, I have 2 contracts, so that's an extra $16, which is a good, that'll buy you dinner one night. So that's really my thoughts on AMD today. I'm kind of bummed that the whole market is selling off, and I feel like the whole market is kind of stealing some of AMD's thunder right now, because I do think that they had some really good news, and the GPU event today went really well. And if it was any other day in the market, AMD would have soared to the high 80s or low 90s. But let's just take a look at some of the other tickers that had earnings today. So Visa had earnings after hours, and I don't think they did that well. I mean, Visa was red all day long. Does look like they sold off a little bit after hours, but it does look like they rallied back as well. So maybe not a horrible day for Visa. Let's take a look at Fastly. I know that's been a popular ticker with the whole TikTok saga going on. Fastly, had a huge sell-off right after market close. They bought it all back, and now we're pretty much trading flat. So seems like a very choppy after-hours trading for some of these tickers. Teladoc had earnings today. They've been a big player, but look at this. Teladoc dropped from about $2.27 all the way down to about $2.07. They dropped $20. They dropped 10% in the matter of a few minutes. So I'm assuming they did not have the greatest. Wow, they actually beat earnings by a considerable margin. I'm not sure why they dropped. Maybe they did not have good guidance, but some of it got bought back. But that's a huge drop, 10%, especially for earnings on a company that you think would be booming right now during the illness. Let's take a look at one more. Let's take a look at eBay, see how they're doing. And wow, not good on eBay at all. Very choppy, but looks like we've settled on a sell-off on eBay. eBay closed, we started selling off actually on Power Hour. We closed at about $53. After hours right now, it's $50 and some change. This sold off about $3, which is down almost 6%. So rough day in the markets from earnings. And I kind of thought that this would be a big week because a lot of big companies have earnings this week. And it's those same big companies that are kind of been propping up the stock market. So this may also compound to why the market is selling off if a lot of these big companies are reporting poor earnings or earnings that are worse than expected. I think GE had a great day today. They were green today. Let's see what their earnings look like because they were actually earnings pre-market. So that's probably the reason why they're green today. One of the very few companies that are green today, but you can see from about noontime on, they did slowly sell off and now trading flat. So I'm assuming they had great earnings. Yeah, they beat earnings. They were expected to have negative 4 cents per share, and they actually reported positive 6 cents per share. So good on GE. I know GE is actually one of the most popular tickers traded on Robinhood, and I know a lot of people like to wheel it because it's on the cheaper side of tickers. So let me know how your day went. Hopefully, if it was red, it wasn't too red. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Make sure you join our Discord server. And as always, happy trading.